We are now recording.
Okay. I would begin with a overview of the Mayan calendar system, which is really why we are here, why we are listening to this phone call. And so basically, the Mayan calendar system is a system that describes the time-wise evolution of 9 different waves that seem to have a divine source and have been developing our universe since what you might call the beginning of time. In other words, since what modern terminology is called the Big Bang 16 billion years ago. And this is a very interesting, very fascinating calendar system. It's the best metaphor that you may use to see what this system is about is the pyramid in 9 levels that typically were built in the Mayan sites in ancient times, where each of the levels reflect not only a certain level of consciousness, but also a certain frequency of time. And so each of these levels is developed through a series of 13 different energies, where the time periods in which these different energies are ruling will be different. So every time we climb to a higher step on the pyramid, the time period shortens 20-fold. And the result, you might say, is that the frequency of change increases 20-fold every time you climb to a new level. And so it's quite recently then that the highest of these levels, the 9th level, was activated. The wave that develops its particular frame of consciousness was activated only as of March 9th, 2011. So it's a little bit less than 3 months ago that it was activated. And it was really activated, you might say, with a bang. It really had a very visible consequence. At least it was felt like that. The big earthquake in Japan of magnitude 9.0 that just happened 2 days later. And in the first period, in this seeding energy of this particular wave, we saw not only this huge earthquake, we also saw the nuclear crisis in Japan that followed. We saw a new war in Libya, and we saw just a tremendous amount of events happening in a very short, condensed period of time. And even if I or nobody, as I know, had specifically predicted these particular events, what was predicted was that this wave would bring an increase in frequency. And what that means in this case is simply that there's a higher amount of significant events taking place within a shorter period of time. What was also predicted was that this 9th wave would bring a new frame of consciousness. And this particular frame of consciousness is one of unity consciousness. It's a wave that will develop a new human being, a human being whose mind is not filtered in any way from perceiving reality exactly the way it is. And it's a new human being whose mind is not dominated by a dualism between light and darkness. And this is very important because the lower waves of this pyramid have developed a human being who has been dominated by duality. And this has had a large number of consequences. Notably, one consequence is the kind of hierarchical systems of rule that humanity has had in its society for 5,000 years. It also has generated an idea that human beings are separate from nature, and to some extent even this idea of conquering nature and putting it down. So this is what came out of the lower waves. But the 9th wave was expected to, you might say, transcend these earlier dualities and create a human being that is in unity with the divine, unity with the divine plan, unity with the cosmos, with the nature, and with one another. And in a sense, you might say that what happened then when this wave was activated in March was simply that a number of things manifested that really made it clear to us the way that we have been living in opposition to nature. I think another thing that I want to point out in this first day that didn't really make it big into the news, but it was still there. And this is an interesting thing that Dalai Lama, who's been for a very long time the spiritual and also the political leader of Tibet, asked to step down because he's saying that the time of the leaders is over. And this is something that also is exactly in line with the kind of predictions that I and other people had made regarding the beginning of this 9th wave, that we're entering a time where dominance will be much less, it will not have a place in the same way that it's had in previous waves. And so we saw that quite clearly when in the Arabic Revolution, where which is really part of this. It's sort of providing the foundation for this particular wave. And what is also interesting about this Arabic revolution is that it's sort of aligned along what I have described in my books as the midline of the planet, which is a line that goes through Rome, Berlin, and Tripoli down to Cape Town, and that has separated the world into the eastern and the western hemispheres. And this has been the line where, you might say, the very phenomenon of dominance has been established. In other words, this dominance that I talked about that has been ruling humanity for about 5,000 years. So it's not to be surprised then that it is along or symmetrically related to this particular line that we see this sort of desire for transcending dominance. And we've seen it